When we pulled into Sardinia and started repairing our boat, we needed a place to stay. And at the time we rented an apartment. When the repair turned into a full refit, we needed a longer term solution. We needed a work truck that we could also live in.
And so we started looking and we ended up with this beautiful, beautiful baby girl. We ended up finding her and we fell in love.
But when we got this truck, it did not look like this. It was a stripped down, bare LCV, light commercial vehicle, just the two front seats, nothing else. The back was completely empty. And we've done a lot of work on it in the past year and a half. But what's made it an even better home is what's on the inside.
So, let's go.
All right, welcome to the inside of the truck. This is sort of our home that we've created. We're gonna start at the back and work our way forward. So first, let's talk about all the stuff hanging off the back door. Hanging off the back door is sort of the quickest and most easily accessible items that we need on a daily basis. So we've got, dishwashing stuff, we've got headlamps up here, we've got our mosquito repellent, tripod, cables. They're all hanging off of this like MOLLE panel that we put on the back window so we could start hanging and organizing all of our bags. This big bag is sort of all of our shower stuff because we're normally either swimming in the ocean or just rinsing off with our water bag. In the middle, we've got camp stuff. So there's a little bit of a first aid kit in the front, typical Band-Aids, tweezers, that kind of stuff. And then we got knives and saws and matches, mosquito repellent, and just all the quick access stuff. The MO for this whole back panel is just quick access stuff. Open the door, you're good to go. This one on the right is what we're calling the galley. And that's, again, quick access that we need for like the majority of cooking. Salt and pepper, sriracha, olive oil, forks and knives, lighter, spoons, and some wax wraps to like put stuff in the fridge. That just flips down, super convenient. So when we're cooking, we can leave that open. This panel underneath is mostly just to cover the automatic lock mechanism that's back here. And then we also put in AC outlets that plug into our main house battery so that we can run the blender or an induction or a water kettle off the back. This lower section, again, it's like a MOLLE panel. We've got some mouthwash, we've got baby wipes and soap and mosquito repellent and that kind of stuff. This middle one, we've got some more kind of camp stuff, bigger knife, magnets, laundry line, just stuff we need to grab. We've got our fairy lights to put out outside. And then we've got our two kitchen knives in Kydex sheaths so that when the table's open, they're easy to sort of access. We use those all the time, so it's convenient to have them easily accessible. They are mounted to our tailgate table, which we put a little Velcro on to keep it from falling open. And this is where we do all of our cooking, we brush our teeth, and this, we've got a mirror, so when you're brushing your teeth or doing whatever, it's kind of like a bathroom. Super utilitarian and functional setup. It's got a bit of a slide out that is a little bit stiff right now because it's humid, but then we have quite a lot of counter space. This is where our stove goes when we're cooking outside. We can also put it inside on the countertop. We can also put the stove out on the table if we want to cook further away from the truck. Our stove is just hidden right here beside it. And what's pretty cool about this table is it has a big magnet on the back, which we didn't fully get the purpose of when we first got the table, but what it's turned out to be very convenient for is that the lid of our stove is metal. So we can just magnet the stove up there while we take the gas out and hook it up. And then when the gas is hooked up, we can bring it back down. And then we open the lid. It also magnets there. So the stove is actually very, very stable and it doesn't slide around. So when we're cooking, it's very stable. So this back door is very utilitarian. It's very functional. It's great storage. And it's also our kitchen and our bathroom counter. It's all about ease of access in the back of the truck because it's difficult when you're living in a space 24/7. If things aren't easily accessible, it becomes a real inconvenience to like have to get something out each time. So everything that we've built in the back, we've tried to build it in a way where it's all within reach and it's not layered and packed in the back somewhere that's really hard to access. So that things like cooking and showering and cleaning up, grabbing the tripod, it's just quick and easy.
All right, before we move on to the interior of the truck, let's quickly talk about today's sponsor, which is AG1. AG1 is a food supplement that is packed with all sorts of vitamins and nutrients and enzymes and probiotic and prebiotic, and it's good to boost your energy, your immune system. Normally we add it to our breakfast smoothie, but these days since we are on the road, we just shake it up with some water. It tastes delicious and it's quick and easy. But what I like about AG1 is that they're always tweaking and testing the formula to make sure that it gives you the most benefits and it always tastes good. So if you do want to give it a try, make sure you check out the link below or you scan the QR code. AG1 will add a surprise to your welcome kit. So on that note, let's go inside. One of the most important features and what makes our truck so livable is how simple it is to set up our bed. Because we have the rooftop tent, it takes 3 seconds. So we have our pillows, our blankets, our sheets, our mattress, everything is still stored inside the tent. So by the time that we fold it down or lift the tent up, it's already ready for us to climb into bed when we're tired. Because the last thing that we want is to have to set up something inside that takes 10 minutes and then we're tired and then we still have to undo everything in the morning before we drive. So this makes it practical, this makes it simple, and this makes it livable for us. But the beauty, the second most awesome feature is that you can lift this up as well, and it opens up the entire interior of the truck for us. What I love about being able to open everything is that we have so much light coming in. We can still see what's going on outside. We have an entire counter space available to us. I love it. But none of this was this way when we bought the truck.
When we bought this truck, since it was a light commercial vehicle, the back was completely empty. We didn't even have back seats to take out, which made it perfect for us because we knew we were going to build something back here. But for the first 6 months, we basically left it empty. We were living out of some Euro bins, didn't even have a fridge. We had like one of the water jugs from the boat back here. And we just sort of lived in it and just sort of felt out the space and tried to figure out what we wanted. Because there's plenty of designs, there's plenty of other builds out there in the world that we could have pulled ideas from, but we really wanted this space to be built around our needs and our lifestyle and how we planned on living in the back of the truck. So it took us a while to figure out sort of what design we wanted and what organizational strategies we wanted to put back here. So with that said, let's start talking about the build. So we decided to build all the storage onto the passenger side. Some people don't, because it sort of blocks your blind spot when you're doing a shoulder check out of these windows. So a lot of people build it on the driver's side since you can't really see there anyway. But because we have a left-hand drive truck, it's already a little bit left-hand heavy to begin with. So building everything on the passenger side kind of evens out the weight. And also the tailgate and the table is on the passenger side. So that just kind of creates like some smooth linear flow coming in and out. They're not like in each other's way. So when we hauled our boat out last winter and we got our container, we slowly built out the container into a workshop by building the back of the truck. So we got the tools we needed, knowing that this was going to be sort of the prequel to building the boat. So we kind of used this and used the materials that we'd be using on the boat to kind of just make sure that we had everything we needed. So when it was time to start building the boat, we were already ready. So starting in the back, the largest drawer is our refrigerator. This is the second version of this refrigerator we've had, and it doesn't work. It has a thermostat issue, which is the same issue we had with the first one, where it just stays on all the time and basically deep freezes anything we put in it. So for now it's off, but we have some big water bottles in the bottom that we freeze and then turn the fridge off, and then it's just sort of an ice box. So it works for now until we come up with a better solution. But the lid does open all the way, which is nice and convenient. It does have an ice maker, which used to work. But right now it's basically just an ice box. The cool part about this drawer is it has a double function, which is that the bottom section opens up, and once I build the little bracket that's going to slide in there, it basically turns it into a table. So when we're sitting back here, we have a little bit of a workspace where we can either eat, watch a movie, do work on our laptops, whatever we need to do. So that just swings down and magnets closed. These two top drawers are just more storage, obviously. This one is our basically breakfast drawer. So it's got the blender and everything we need to make our breakfast smoothies, because everything that's quickly and easily accessible gets used more often. And since we basically drink these smoothies every single morning, everything in this drawer is for those smoothies. And then we can easily access them and put them out on the tailgate table. This drawer is just sort of pantry items. It's just basically our snack drawer. Also pretty easy to access. When the roof is closed, having the countertop have a little bit of an offset means we can reach in here and access everything in these drawers even when the roof is closed. So we can have access to quick snack items. Behind door number 4 is this is what we call the pantry. So it's got these slide out sections. We can organize and put all of our dry goods and food. So we've got pasta and bars and flour and rice and everything else we need. And then underneath is all pots and pans and stuff we need to cook, plates and bowls. One of the cool things, we've got these bowls and plates that are from the same company that do our silverware, and they all sort of magnet together and they stack really, really compactly. And so we can actually store them inside of our pots, which means our entire kitchen cookware set fits in this tiny little cubby, which is fantastic. And behind door number 5 is our closet. We got these compressible clothes organizers on Amazon, which are pretty sweet because you can just expand them down and then put everything in, so you have like space to grab what you need, and then they compress back up again so they take up less space, and then we can just slide them back in. So I've got one, Kika's got one, and then there's another drawer underneath that's sort of just like a tech drawer. We kind of sometimes throw our laptops in here. Right now it's just got camera batteries and chargers and stuff in it. And then underneath that is a little bit more storage space for just odd bins and bags and toiletries and extra sweaters because it's winter time and all that kind of stuff. Both of these doors are brought up a little bit because one of the last things we need to do in the back of the truck is to put cushions on top of this whole bench area, and there's just space there, so when we put a cushion in here we can still open these doors. We just need to have them built, but the plan is we're gonna have cushions all around this whole L shape, and then the backs of them we can use to infill this space. We can put some spacers on this flight rail, and we can actually then sleep in the back of the truck if it's either too cold or more specifically too windy and the whole truck is just blowing around, which it has happened a couple of times, which is very hard to sleep through. We'll actually be able to sleep in the back with the roof down, which will be awesome. That's one of the reasons why we decided to keep these benches low. Some people build them up a bit higher and then there's more access and more storage underneath them. But by keeping them low, we can actually both be in here with the roof down, and we can still have access to the fridge and snacks and food. And then we can also convert it into our bed, and we can actually still sleep in here once we have those cushions built, which we haven't quite done yet. Last but not least, behind drawer number, what are we on, 6? This is just our, I don't know, foot locker. We got everything in here. Right now, this is all the extra bits. We've got a 3D printed chess game. Vacuum cleaner, we've got seating pads, we've got some snacks, we've got the Oculus, you know, for work. Axe is down there. Also the Starlink router is down there. And also underneath this whole corner is where our diesel heater is installed, which has been so fantastic to have on the truck. Because we've got a diesel tank and a diesel engine in this truck anyway, the ability to have a diesel heater running, especially on days like today, it's just so nice. It keeps things dry, it keeps us warm, it keeps us sleeping so much better at night. So when we're driving and it's a bit cold, even in Sardinia, it gets cold enough that we like having it. So that's been fantastic. It's not running right now because it's a little bit noisy and you wouldn't really be able to hear me over the wind noise. This is our sort of house battery, which is sort of a temporary solution. We do have a lithium battery that we just installed under the driver's seat, and we have like USB and USB-C outlets scattered around the truck, but we don't have an inverter yet. So we're still running this temporarily until we do. Once we install an inverter somewhere so we can run the blender and an electric kettle, then we'll be able to get rid of this and we'll have access to build all of our cushions that we want to build back here. So that's a bit temporary, but it works really well for now. Super easy to just put the solar panels on the roof and plug it in and have power. So that's been really nice. So when we were building out the whole back of the truck, we did insulate everything, including underneath the floor, and we added some of these like sound absorbing mats. We haven't insulated this side yet because we're thinking we might want these windows to open. And so once we decide what windows we want, then we'll insulate this and kind of finish building this little section here. So cushions and building that out are kind of the only two things left in the back of the truck to finish. And the rest of it's pretty much done. And lastly, back here is the vinyl flooring. We're testing it out to see if we want to use it in the boat because it has a bit more of a texture to it. So it's a bit more grippy than the vinyl flooring you get at a typical hardware store. And so we've been testing it out for the past year almost. And yeah, we'll see how it holds up a little bit more long term. And we also have this flight rail down here, which has multiple functions. One, so we can just strap stuff in the back of the truck when we're driving around and it doesn't slide around and scratch up the floor. And two, since it's on both sides, the cushions that come off the back, we're gonna be able to use this rail to set them down and turn this whole thing into a bed, which is pretty sweet. In this back corner, we built out a little bit of a box to cover the water infill for our water tank. We built like this little floating gauge. It's just like a styrofoam ball on a stick to tell us how full the water tank is. It's effective. We've got access back here so we can see everything and check everything and access wiring. This little latch we actually kept from UMA 2.0 and the little hinges as well. And then we've got the diesel heater, thermostat, and another USB-C outlet that's connected to our lithium truck battery so we can charge our phones and stuff. So we've been using the build out in the back of this truck to sort of not refresh our building skills, but to sort of make sure we have all the tools, all the equipment, and all the materials we need to start building the inside of our boat, and also to test out materials that we can get locally, like this type of plywood that already has the Formica laminate on the outside of it, these sort of latches, which are all over the overland industry, but we've never seen them in the marine industry. The paint in the inside, primer, all that kind of stuff. We're using it on the inside of the truck to just see how it holds up, see how well it lasts, see if we like it, and just give us some testing and trial runs before we commit to putting it inside of the boat. So far, we've really liked living back here. It's definitely downsizing from boat life, but it's just big enough where we can still live in it and sleep in it every night and cook and sort of have a life. And so it's been great. And then the ability to carry stuff, paint and gear and stuff from inside the boat back and forth to our storage unit and still go on road trips and live in it. It's been such an awesome vehicle to use for this lifestyle, and we're excited for going on a lot more adventures with it.
All right, guys, last but not least, the cockpit of the truck, the control center. This is where the magic happens. If none of these work, then this is all just a tiny house that doesn't move, which defeats the purpose of all of this. So in here, we haven't done a lot of modifications, actually. A lot of the things here are basically from stock, but I think the very first thing that we modified when we got the truck was the seat covers, because the original ones are vinyl and they get hot in the summer and then you sweat and then it just doesn't feel very good. So we got these seat covers that we really like because they are meshed in the center, so they're very breathable, and also they're very durable because we do a lot of boat work and we wear a lot of boat work clothes and we have dust and things that we come in and out, and we can take this out, wash it, and we don't have to worry about damaging it because they're very strong stuff. What I like about this too is that you can attach things to it. So on the side of each seat, for instance, we have our lenses for the camera. Sometimes we put like other things in there, but these are primarily for lenses. Because it's a light commercial vehicle, it already has a bulkhead behind the seats. So we use it to Velcro all of our tools so that they don't rattle when we're driving. So this has been very useful. And one modification that we did, actually 2 days before this trip, was we built this cubby in the middle of the seats, because originally it was just impractical. It was just, I don't even remember, I think it was just like a bucket, like an empty space with tiny little bottle holders that didn't even keep bottles in and didn't fit any bottles that we had. So we decided to build something else, and it has a little storage space here and proper size holder and some organization that we 3D printed, and it has like a very nice rest for your arms so you can drive and shift and hold hands, things like that. But yeah, that is it. All of this came with the truck. The only, I keep adding things that we modified after. The only other things that we've added were the switches, the buttons for all the stuff that we have. So we have the button for the winch. We have the button for the air compressor. We added a button for all the lights, like the floodlight, the reverse light, the spotlight, and they're all activated by the high beam switch on the side of the truck. One cool fact, by the way, about Defenders, if you didn't know, is that the key switch, I don't know if you noticed, but it's not on the right side, it's on the left side. The other difference as well, as opposed to other cars, is that you don't have a horn here. The horn is on the side there, which I think is absolutely awesome. I didn't know how I would like it, but when we started driving a lot in this car, it's been so accessible to just honk at people, especially in Italy. It's been fun to honk at people in Italy. They hate it. I love it. A lot of people say that this space for a driver seemed to be very small, but for us, it almost fits perfectly because all the way back is the perfect size for Dan, and all the way forward is the perfect size for me. I can reach all the pedals and I have access to everything, and we don't need to adjust the mirrors. We don't have a mirror there, so we don't have to worry about that. And then we also added a camera, which is kind of like a security camera, but use it mostly as a reverse camera because we don't see behind the truck. And the mirrors help. You can definitely see as much as possible with the mirrors, but you do have a blind spot, which is directly behind you. So if we're reversing to things, it's really nice to actually see what we're reversing into. And that is it for the tour of our truck, guys. Hopefully you liked it. Let us know in the comments below what you like, what you didn't, if you would change anything, or if you have any questions. But we do have a few more hours to drive today, and it's getting pretty dark. So we're gonna go, and we'll see you guys next time. Cheers.